Please stand for the Deputy Mayor, Alderman Josh Campbell.
Welcome along to this evening's meeting, and before opening the meeting I would like to welcome along Captain Michelle Miles from the Salvation Army to open the meeting with prayer. Thank you.
Father, I just pray for this meeting right now. I pray that you just govern all the hearts and minds, and that we come with open ears and we come with open minds, and protect us as we're here in our comings and goings. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. And before proceeding, I'd like to acknowledge the Tasmanian and Aboriginal communities as traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, and pay respect to their elders past and present, and remind the gallery and aldermen that this meeting is being video recorded. Thank you. Item 1, apologies, and we have apologies from the Mayor, Alderman Doug Chipman, Alderman Deborah Thurley and Alderman Peter Cusick. Item 2, the confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. Alderman Chong, Alderman Pearce, put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Declare the motion carried unanimously. Mayor's communications. I haven't got anything to report on behalf of the Mayor. Thank you. Item 4, council workshops of the 20th and the 27th of June. Alderman Pearce, Alderman Von Berto. Put that motion. All those in favour? The motion carried. Item 5, declarations of interests of aldermen or close associates. No. Item 6, the tabling of petitions. General Manager.
No.
Thank you. Item 7, public question time. 7.1, public questions on notice. Nil. 7.2, answers to questions on notice. Nil. Item 7.3, answers to previous questions taken on notice are nil. Item 7.4, questions without notice. No. Deputation 8. Item 8, deputations by members of the public. Mr. General Manager. Thank you. Item 9, notices on motion are nil. Item 10, reports from outside bodies. Item 10.1, reports from single and joint authorities. What? Yeah. Nothing. Copying Refuge Disposal Authority, we have still waiting on the March Quarter 1 for closed meeting. Southern Waste Strategy Authority, Alderman James.
Thank you, Mr Acting Mayor. I'd like to table the minutes of the 19th of May 2016. On that occasion I chaired the meeting in the absence of Councillor Alex Green. The decision at that meeting was to write to member councils and seek a response as to the support or otherwise for winding up SWSA. We have received all responses, although 3 verbal reports were received on the 19th of May, and that was to wind up SWASA. It will take some time to do that because of setting of the accounts and also going through the process that's required in relation to that. And so I'll table the minutes of the 19th of May And the agenda and the meeting we had on the 23rd of June was really just to go through different matters that have arisen in relation to the normal business that occurs in relation to SWASA. So I'll hand that to Mr. Vanderheck and seek for it to be received. Move it accordingly. Thanks.
Corporation. No. Point 2, reports from council and special committees and other representative bodies. Alden here.
Acting Mayor, I have the minutes of the Business East Board of Management for April and May.
Better?
For the 4th of April. Thank you.
Any further reports? Alderman James?
Yes, Mr. Acting Mayor, the minutes of the Tracks and Trails Advisory Committee of the 9th of June. Can I draw Council's attention to the letter in relation to the Lauderdale to Rugby to Lauderdale Foreshore Trail? I wrote to the Minister, I wrote to the Premier in relation to this matter and received a letter from the Minister for Infrastructure, Police, Fire and Emergency Services, and in that he basically reiterated what he had said in his previous correspondence. It was disappointing that the Premier did handball this to Mr. Hidding, when in fact in my letter I sought the comments from the Franklin, State Franklin Liberal members, and but hence there was no response from them, and Mr. Hidding actually responded by saying previous correspondence still stood. He did make another comment that there are alternative routes that may need to be considered, but he didn't actually make any reference to the multi-purpose pathway, which in fact I had included as part of those in my letter to the Premier. So look, it just seems to me that the Minister just doesn't really want to look at options, notwithstanding that I have received some comments from another source who stated that the Department of Infrastructure in fact is very, very reluctant for a multi-purpose pathway along the South Arm Highway, and a couple of departmental persons are in favour of the Foreshore Trail. So it's interesting to take and take your own conclusions from this, that the Minister who is responsible for infrastructure and also police and emergency services is sort of or mindful of the fact that there is a number of, I would say, key personnel within the Department of Infrastructure that are really concerned and do not necessarily support a pathway along the South Arm Highway, and for what reasons I do not know, but basically in support of the Foreshore Trail. Other than that, I'll table the minutes of the meeting of the 9th of June. Thank you.
Any further reports?
These are quite grave suggestions that are coming through DSG. Is there going to be any way to substantiate them? Or they're just going to be up in the ephemera that...
Well, I think that we'd take that on notice, thanks, because this is not for a debate, it's only to receive reports. Thank you. Any further reports? If not, item 11, reports of officers. 11.1, the weekly briefing reports of the 13th, the 20th and the 27th of June have been circulated. Alderman Chong, seconded by Alderman Von Berto. Thank you. Any comments or anything? I'll put that motion. Those against, declare the motion carried unanimously. Item 11.3 now, the planning items. Council now sits as a planning authority. Item 11.31, an amendment to an application at 15 Dysart Street and 443 Clifton Beach Road, Clifton Beach, to section 43A, rezoning and 13 lot subdivision.
I'll move that motion.
Alderman McFarlane.
The report has covered most of the representations that came forward adequately. This is a highly desirable area in Clarence that a lot of the younger generation will be looking forward to coming on the market, and I'm hopeful that we will see a big increase in local activities down there. It benefits our community a lot to have this style.
Any further speakers? Right, a reply? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against, declare the motion carried unanimously. Item 11.4, customer service items are nil. Item 11.5, 11.51, Pollard Drive safety improvement upgrades, council approval to consult. Alderman Farman, Alderman Chong, Alderman McFarlane.
Just that it's a very common sense approach to upgrading the Pollard Drive.
Thank you. The community is looking forward to being consulted on this.
Any further speakers? Right of reply, Alderman McFarlane. If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against, declare the motion carried. Item 11.6, financial management items are nil. The same with 11.7, governance are nil. Item 12, Alderman's question time. Questions on notice, nil. 12.2, answers to questions are nil. 12.3, answers to previous questions taken on notice is nil. And now Alderman's question time. I'll go that way last time. Alderman Peers, Alderman.
Mr. Acting Mayor, I have a question that relates to airport rates, but I'm just wondering whether I should leave it to the confidential section of the meeting. Does it depend on what the question is?
Challenge.
Well, I'll ask the question and I'll leave it to the General Manager's judgment. I was just wondering how things are going with the issue of the airport rates, and also is Council in approaching that issue working with the other councils who are having similar problems dealing with airports over their rates around Australia?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll answer part of the question now and I'll add it further later on in the meeting if I may. But yes, we're certainly working with other councils around Australia, but most particularly we're working closely with your legal council at the moment in relation to the issue.
questions in relation to Clevehill estate on the bottom side, Goodwin's Road, wondering whether Goodwin's Road is going to remain where it is, or from an original concept design it was being moved. And another one relating to the very same subdivision as to whether the public open space has remained along the rivulet all the way back to Pass Road.
Correcting Mayor. First question, probably through you to Mr. Stevens, is in relation to green waste. I had some correspondence querying what happens with the green waste, and my response was around the lines that my understanding was that take it to Mornington, at that site contaminants are removed and then it's on processed. The concerns were raised were around it being sent straight to landfill, so if we could just get some clarification on what the actual process is with the green waste that we collect.
Mr Mayor, basically that's correct. Mornington Park. I work at the Grantham Depot, and basically it's either sold by Barwick as a
Second question is relating to STCA. Money was spent a while back changing its name, in marketing things to Think South, a waste of money, and separate to it being a waste of money is confusion. It's a title that doesn't seem to be getting used very often. Has that title been abandoned, or is that still the marketing aim? Because it seems like one of those annoying wastes of money spent on marketing people that try and solve a problem that didn't exist in the first place.
Through Acting Mayor, I can advise that at the last STCA meeting they resolved to abandon the Think South name. But this part of the question was around the...
So they don't, it hasn't been perceived as slop of profligacy because it just looks like a manifest failure and waste of money.
Thank you. Two questions, Mr Acting Mayor. Firstly, I was hoping that Mr Toohey would be here, but of course he's still on leave, so perhaps my question can be through to the General Manager. Over the weekend down at Belrive Beach, I actually approached a couple of people with their dog on the beach, on the section which is from Beach Street west to the Bluff. My question is it possible for a sign to be erected on where the old Beach Street, where the old car park was on the foreshore? Because a lot of people actually walk from the Derwent Street car park across and down onto the beach. And at the moment there's only a sign, well there is a sign which says that dogs are permitted on the beach between the hours of such from December to March. Is it possible for a sign to be erected similar to the one that's on the walkway on the Beach Street access, which is actually on the beach? So we have a sign erected on the approach to the beach near the old car park in Belrive Beach. The other question I have is to Mr Stevens in his capacity as the Manager of Asset Management. Mr Stevens, is it possible to have an update on the roadworks that are being done and roadworks throughout the city that are a carryover from the 15-16 financial year, and then what is being programmed for 16-17. Suburban street works, you know, the normal pitching, sealing, etc.
Yeah, that's rather a big ask. What I could do is produce a briefing report detailing all that and the estimated schedule of when those works.
Concludes the open section of the meeting. Thank you.